Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, George Carmona, today being joined by a good friend and honestly, one of the best fucking fantasy football players I've ever met in my entire life. Angelo Reyes is in the building.
Oh, come on, man. You're making me blush. Thank you so much for I just want to thank the whole group and Gridiron Junkies and you, George, and your dad, right?
Yes. Yes.
Cameron, you guys have really welcomed me in. And I got to tell you, October, guys, is Liver Cancer Awareness Month. I'm currently 15 months as a transplant. Luckily, I haven't had to go back to the hospital, but this being a part of George's Gridiron Junkies and fantasy football has honestly been a huge cure and a huge lift off of my shoulder. Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Like it's therapy, man.
Fantasy football. Yeah. Curing people.
Yeah, curing people. It's amazing. It's amazing. So thank you.
Absolutely. And Angelo, the reason why we are doing this fantasy football show, this league's been going on for 2 years now. All right. And last year, I didn't touch on fantasy football at all. We had a draft party. We were still developing like how I wanted the league to go.
Yeah.
But I didn't do any recap shows or weekly reviews. I think today starts a long chain of weekly updates and reviews on the Gridiron Junkies Fantasy Football League, because if we go all out for the fantasy football draft party, why not just keep up to date on how good or poorly people have performed throughout the year? So, Angelo, there was something that you had brought up before the show, and I will answer this question now.
Okay.
Last year, Cameron and Brandon Johnson were in the playoffs when Damar Hamlin, he collapsed on the field, needs CPR, the game gets canceled.
Okay.
All right. Cameron had 3 Bengals players playing that week.
Okay.
So what that means is they did not get the points that would have helped her possibly win, because I believe it was a Monday night game. So she knew how many points she needed to win. And when that whole Damar Hamlin thing happened, she had 3 players out, so she couldn't get those points.
Okay, I want to bring this up because this year we've gotten to the halfway mark of this whole league now.
Yes.
Okay? Cameron has been lights out, man. I mean, like, from the draft to I'm having conversations with her. She's making moves. Just this Monday, all right? Just again, here's an example of a great move. Cisco, who's probably one of the most advanced players we have in this league, he's making waiver wire moves weekly. This guy's teaching me stuff about stacking. Like, I had no idea what stacking was. He's teaching it to me, and Cameron needed to beat him to be second place. Yeah. Cameron needed to beat him to be second place, and leading up to the week, she was behind.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a move. Goes IDP, baby. Individual defensive player. Picks up Cameron Bynum. Thank you, Cameron, for picking up Cameron Bynum on Filipino American History Month, by the way, October.
That's
because
amazing.
The best Filipino player in the NFL right now, I'm sorry, Josh Jacobs, he just is. Cameron Bynum, 2 interceptions, tackle that caused the fumble. Cameron, I think, got 30 fantasy points. 30. That's huge.
Yeah, no, going into this week, we just so people know, and I'll close. Cameron is on a warpath from last year. Okay, so she's making a point. She found a person who literally had the same exact spelling of his name. If you want to share that screen right there, he's literally Cameron Bynum. You don't see this name spelled the way Cameron spells it too often. This guy has it, but he's been going off on the main stage this year. It's not just that I inflated the points for defensive players getting extra bonuses.
Okay.
This player's been going off. Okay. 2 interceptions this past game. Cameron adds them on the week leading up to it. So that was a very good point.
Yeah.
Cameron will be the first player that we talk about, because do you think she has the capability of winning it all?
Yes. In fact, I want to already throw out there. And again, we'll talk about Brandon in a second. Mm-hmm. Or in whenever you're ready. But I think if Brandon, who is on an 0-7 skid, is just gonna give up, which is a little upsetting to some of us, if that's the truth, because he has so many good players. like Saquon Barkley, Ramondre Stevenson. He's got players in the squad that he can give us all.
Raheem
Mostert, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's say Brandon's saying to himself, you know what, screw it, man, I'm not going to win. I mean, he could fight back to be in the playoffs, 6th place, but if he doesn't want to, I believe 2 things, Commissioner, if it's possible. Think about it. I want you to think about it. 1, we should call the last place trophy the Brandon. Just because in the league, the worst player, it was named after him, the Ruxin. So I think we should call it the Brandon. If he tanks, if he tries, but if he's tanking and he's not even going to try, we call it the Brandon. And the second thing is on our belt.
Yes,
I want Cameron's name to be the official winner of the first one. Because honestly, it would prove the point. It would prove the point that Brandon wasn't that good. He went from first to last. So he basically got lucky the first time.
Yes.
And then this time, him drafting well.
From first to worst, he's 0-7.
Okay.
The odds of him coming back to make the playoffs are probably astronomical. It's not going to happen. Brandon should start looking at making some big time trades with people, so he should be open to this. However, he was getting married in Europe for this past month. So, I don't know if it's just he's not putting his rosters in on time. His team sucked. Just flat out.
But here, to be fair, Brandon, look, first of all, congratulations to you and Chanel. You guys, amazing, living your beautiful life. Love always watching your contents. You sharing foods and everything in Madrid. That's fantastic. If it is because you're out there, and of course Saquon Barkley did get injured. Let's not forget that Saquon did get injured.
He's back.
And he had Anthony Richardson, who's now out for the season.
Yep.
Right? So to be fair, I'm not saying you weren't trying. All right? What I am saying is in the next 7, if you don't try, I think it's only fair that Cameron.
So, yes. Here's the thing with this league, though, Angelo, is that he still has the ability to win a playoff game in the toilet bowl. So he's not playing for the championship belt. But he is playing to be the best of the losers. So I am down to add this to the potential list of if you come in last place, this could happen to you.
Okay.
And the winner of the toilet bowl decides what happens to Brandon. Possibly.
So you're saying Brandon could decide because if he wins the toilet bowl.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. If he wins the toilet bowl, then he gets to decide what the very last place person gets to. So we'll I think we've spent enough time talking about the trash. We talked about that championship matchup from last year between Cameron and Brandon. But there's a person in our league who goes by the name of the Crime Solver.
Oh, my God.
Okay. The Crime Solver currently is in first place in the Gridiron Junkies Fantasy Football League. And Angelo, you had listed something in our pre-show flow. Why don't you go ahead and read it off, what we have here about the Crime Solver?
So the Crime Solver right now is clearly number 1. He is in a 5-game winning streak, everyone. 5-game winning streak. The only person I believe that has beaten him, if I'm not mistaken, would be Cameron, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, it was Cameron. And he is making lights out moves right now, guys. Like today. I'll give you an example of today. Waiver wire today. Breaking news, Deshaun Watson, week 8, not going to play. His quarterbacks are Deshaun Watson, who he drafted, and Sam Powell, who we all know is going to get crushed.
Correct.
Drops Powell, picks up Gardner Minshew.
Yep.
Minutes before Adam, who has Brock Purdy, concussion protocol. Now he can't even pick up Minshew, picks up Sam Darnold.
Wow.
Now think about that move. Think about the level of fantasy players we have.
Yes.
To make it that quick of a move.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It's a 14-person league. And that is why when you are in fantasy football drafts, some people are like 10 to 12. Fuck that. No, play with 14 so that you can start to learn, like, the NFL is hard.
It's hard.
And to find good players, and everyone's nipping at the fucking good ones when the waiver wire comes around. We do have a cool system put in place. Can you explain that with our waiver wire?
Okay.
Because you get to place bids on people.
Yes. So far since the beginning of the season, Josh, myself, Adam, Cisco, who's lights out at the waiver wires. We've been playing it. Your waiver wire, you have what we call a FAB budget, FAAB. That's the free agent acquisition budget. Everybody has 100, and you can't go, basically once you use it, you use it. I believe right now I only have $50 left. Someone like Josh, who's always on it, he only has like $40-something left. Mm-hmm. But then we look at someone like you, George, who has all $100, all 100. So this is a good time for me to ask this question, because the way waiver wires work is every Tuesdays you start to find out stuff. You start to look at your roster. You're wondering, oh man, should I make a move? Should I keep it still? And then you go on to the waiver wire for what your needs are. One thing that was freaking me out in this league is when I was matching up with this guy right here. Mm-hmm. He was doing the Zen technique of the move of no move. And all week I was wondering, like, does he know something that I don't? Like, he's not picking up a defense. He needs a quarterback. This guy ends up getting Tyrod Taylor, which who knew that guy was going to blow up and get like 25?
I did.
And then the New York Giants, I was so worried. At one point, the New York Giants in our league was at like 70 points. I was like, oh, please someone score. And I think the Giants ended up at 38. So thank goodness Fred Warner only ended up with 27, because you were still in striking distance. I was nervous at that 1% yesterday.
Warner got hurt. Fred Warner got very
Oh, that's what it was.
And what I was banking on is the 49ers to get in a huge lead. And then they're like, okay, let's save Christian McCaffrey. And then Mitchell would have got a good deal of some action. However, they were behind and they ended up fucking losing. So they definitely needed Christian McCaffrey for the whole game. The Zen technique, Angelo, I appreciate you calling it that. It's more so I enjoy putting in my lineups on Sunday morning. And let me hit you with one example why.
Okay.
Bijan Robinson.
Okay.
Bijan Robinson listed all week long as, he's probably going to be able to perform. Travis, he goes out on Sunday morning, tummy ache.
Just a tummy ache?
Probably. All right, no, okay. Come on.
It was a little more than a tummy ache. I don't know. So they said all week he was going to play, and then he ends up getting one carry. He ends up getting the ball once. Okay, and so a person like Angelo is like,
oh yeah, I was screwed.
The fuck?
Yeah.
You guys didn't say that he had a tummy ache anywhere in this, and that he would be getting. You would have rathered him not play.
Yeah, no, actually, so that's perfect example. Now, Arthur Smith, who we in fantasy football just absolutely hate. He does not care about our fantasy league.
Hell no, he
That's why if you have an Atlanta player like me, you're wondering, is Drake London going to get it? Is Jonnu Smith going to get it? Is Kyle Pitts going to get it? Like, who's getting it today? Because Tyler Algieri goes off that day. But to be fair, the NFL rules are investigating it now. Atlanta's probably going to get in trouble. Whatever it was, it could have been a migraine. So Bijan could have been hurt, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
it's textbook point shaving. What's going on?
It's pretty bad.
With the Falcons.
The
Falcons are turning the ball over at a comical rate. Their quarterback is literally just giving the defense the ball every fucking game. They don't play Bijan Robinson. They're betting on the other team and copious amounts of money. I don't know.
And just so that for you guys to know, like, I had Jerome Ford on my bench because I thought Bijan was going to go off. Jerome Ford, bro, before the injury, 27 points.
Yeah.
I would have been less nervous having that 27 points against you.
You would have annihilated me.
Yeah, but no.
But so this was a textbook week, and I know we've been bouncing around here, but I guess we can just say my fantasy football team, okay, we played each other this past week. I had to make a whole bunch of moves because I had players on buys. However, I am the successor of getting Nico Collins and a trade with Big Body Cisco.
And
I got rid of Justin Fields, and I give Big Body Cisco, I give him Justin Fields. I get Nico Collins in return, and the Texans were off last week. They come back this week. I'm expecting 40 points from CJ Stroud, 25 points from Nico Collins. It's happened before. why not continue to happen throughout the season?
So big props to you on that. I want to give a shout out to Cisco for teaching me this because I didn't even know this thing called stacking mattered. I asked him, I said, hey, why are you doing that? And he said, because Justin Fields, I'm going to go with DJ Moore all the way through. And then he said he talked to you about it, and you're going to go with CJ Stroud all the way through.
Yep.
So I had you down for our league. So it's between Cameron, who traded with me. Check this out. I traded Adam Thielen to her for Jacobi Myers because I love the Raiders so effing much. And as you know, Thielen's been wide receiver 1 for the last 4 weeks. Off. So Cameron, thank you for that trade. Josh did a good trade. Traded Brock Purdy, which he talked about during our draft party. He said, I'm picking Brock Purdy because somebody's going to need a quarterback, and I'm going to trade it. So he did it. He traded it to Adam, who loves the 49ers. Again, man, being
People
passionate.
Fall in love with the teams.
Yeah, if you're in love with your team, it really can screw you. And he traded him for Rashad White and Chris Olavi. Can you believe that? Wide receiver running back for Brock Purdy? Ouch. And so I had Josh and Cameron, but I think that maybe because of this Justin Fields injury, maybe you might have had the best trade
so far. But those are, people can be, such fans that they're like, oh, I just want to build this dream squad. If you were a Dolphins fan this year, you could have done that, and you would be winning your fantasy football league without a doubt. Angelo, how annoying is it that Chris texts every Sunday saying, wow, Tua and Hill, amazing, heart. I fucking hate it. I hate it. They got him a combined 80 points, and he's like, oh, don't you guys just love watching this combination? Fuck off, Chris.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank Chris and that standard.
Of course, yeah. His little face is right there underneath the standard.
So thank you, Chris, for sponsoring. It is annoying that he has Tua and Hill, but can I just give him the warning right now, man? Bye week's coming for you, baby.
It is.
Tua and Hill is not going to play against whoever it is that you're playing against during that week. You could look it up. I don't know who it'll be.
I will.
But when that happens, don't know what you're going to do. Again, going back to waiver wires, why it's so important. Today, on Tuesday of this week, biggest name in the waiver wire, and this shocked me, was Dalton Kincaid, who I drafted as my second tight end, dropped him because, just wasn't sure what they were doing with him. All of a sudden, man, he's 8 for 8. He scores like 18 on our league. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to get him. I'm bidding 20. And in my head, I'm thinking the whole time, George is going to bid on him because George this week needs a tight end. Chris is going to bid on him. So hopefully 20 holds up, but I don't know. We'll see. Neither one of you guys bid on every fantasy show was saying Dalton Kincaid. Go get Dalton Kincaid. And neither one. So what's the technique behind there, George? What was the technique? Who is your tight end for this week?
Okay, so I'm going to be quite frank. I didn't even know how that bidding system worked until he explained it like 3 minutes ago.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, I'm just saving money for the big play, right? That was
the big play.
No.
Okay.
Week 11, when I desperately fucking...
Okay.
When I see that you guys have run out of your money...
Okay. Okay.
I'm going to bid $1 as you guys just watch in agony. And I'm like, I still have 99 more of these motherfuckers.
Okay.
So what my strategy is luck. 100% luck.
Okay.
I look on Sunday morning and, for example, like the whole Tyrod Taylor thing. I had 4 players who were out last week. And I was like, oh, shit, I got a lot of adding and subtracting to do. So I did it. Tyrod Taylor, huge success. I wish I would have placed like some bets on the Giants,
like real money.
Yeah. I did the week before, and I didn't win it, and I was like, "Fuck." My timing was just a little bit off. But this isn't a betting show. This is about
fantasy football.
This is about Chris Moorhan, week 10, trying to figure out who the hell he's going to get.
Yeah, he ended up getting.
That's the bye week for the Dolphins.
All right. Well, he went with Taysom Hill. But Chris, man, you own a restaurant, dude. You could bet more than $5, but whatever. He ended up getting Taysom Hill, and we'll see. Like, what do you think? What do you think about Taysom Hill? Because here, low key advanced play for you right now. Jonnu Smith is coming back, which may mean that Taysom Hill is not going to play. But can I just give you a dime? And for all you guys who are listening for fantasy football, you've heard this from Matthew Berry and everybody else. In our league right now, I think the only tight ends that are left is Conklin.
Correct. You could share my screen for this.
Okay. Conklin is left.
Hunter Henry, questionable.
Hunter Henry. And then there is, I'm just going to give you a dime right now, man. This is a dime for the rest of you too. Cade Otton. Cade Otton went lights out for Tampa Bay this past game. He's playing. So you could either go Conklin and take your chances with Zach Wilson, or Baker Mayfield and Cade Otton.
In the Battle of New York, I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. I'm at the point now where you had mentioned Jonnu Smith coming back for the Saints. The reason why you keep Taysom Hill there is just because he can do all the multifaceted things. And it's like, is this a game where he throws, passes, and runs for a touchdoan?
Can I ask you a question about that too? Because it's confusing to me.
Yes.
He's listed as tight end and quarterback. So does that mean that if let's say I had, or Chris has him. Mm-hmm. So if Chris has him and uses him for tight end, and Taysom Hill makes a throw for a touchdown,
yes,
does he get credit for the yards that he threw? I don't think so.
Correct.
He does?
Yeah.
Even if his slot is tight end.
So you have to think about it. Receivers can do this too. Receivers.
No.
Yeah. If a receiver throws a touchdown pass, he gets the yards and that touchdown pass.
Okay. This is confusing to me because I saw Travis Kelce do that little hook and ladder.
Yes.
It worked. I didn't see any points.
But that's not, if he tosses it backwards, that's not a throw.
Oh.
That's not a completion. It may as well have just been a fumble. Really.
You know what? I take it back. Maybe Chris is a genius by taking Taysom Hill. Because,
Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, Taysom Hill was available until
he was available all the way up
ago,
to,
right?
He was available up to
so, and I had seen that one. See, Taysom Hill, I would have probably put $5-10 down on. Hey, Austin is in the building now. Austin is also a part of the fantasy football draft. So why don't
I want to talk about.
Let's talk about his team.
Okay, I want to talk about Austin because
he's in the room. We talk about him.
Here, I'm gonna give him all of his props right now.
Oh yes,
Austin is second place, tied with Cameron at 5-2, and I don't know. And again, is it maybe a connection that his show is Bizarre Junkies? Because some of the moves this guy has been making all year has been bizarre. Holding two kickers. Bizarre. Just bizarre. Right? I'm like, what is he doing? But I don't want to tell him what to do because he knows what he's doing. He's beating me.
That doesn't stop you, though. You still tell me what to do.
Okay, well, to be fair, I did beat you. Me and Cameron are the only two people that have beaten you, and I did beat you.
Bow down.
But
you beat me too. I have to bow down.
But you have the better team for sure, man. You have the better
like
team
I told you, I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
And by that, I mean, I don't. And I literally sit next to George and I go, George, all right, should I pick this dude up? He goes, honestly, dude, I don't even know at this point anymore.
If you have Derek Carr on your team by the end of this week, we're done being friends.
Why? Do you want him? Or is he just that bad?
He's okay.
We are booing him out of the NFL.
Oh, okay.
Can I just say,
you know who didn't boo him was this man right here who said, "Oh, bold of you to start Trevor Lawrence over."
I honestly, every reporter was saying Trevor Lawrence was wearing a knee brace. You know, who knows?
All he was winning was a win for me, baby.
Okay, let me just say this about Derek Carr because I know you. I saw you at Veterans Minimum. You looked great on that show, by the way, with Nick Days.
Thank you.
But you did this whole rant about Derek Carr. Can I just say that the problem at the Saints is not Derek Carr? You know who the problem is? Yeah, okay. I think the problem is Chris Olavi, who got arrested this week.
Correct.
Because someone young look, all I'm saying is I bet on youngsters, Rashee Rice, balling. Josh Downs, balling. Where's Chris Olavi, man?
So
he's missing like half his targets.
Yeah, I know. Did you see? Okay, so there was a couple of situations.
Okay.
Let's break down situation number one that happened last week on Thursday Night Football.
Okay.
Chris Olavi supposed to run a go route. Okay.
This is on the end zone one where he was supposed to do a fade or just regular play.
This was like they were on their half. There were still like 60 yards to go. Right. He pulls up on a deep route. And Derek Carr, after he throws it, starts yelling at him because he saw that he pulled up. Okay. One, that's a miscommunication, not between the two of them. I do think it's a coaching problem.
Okay.
For a while, I've thought it's a coaching problem, and Chris Olavi is just having to take the brunt of it because Derek Carr was the first one to point his finger.
Okay.
Second thing, Derek Carr threw that fucking ball 5 yards out of bounds. There was no way Chris Olavi was catching that pass.
Did he mean to throw it there though because he thought Chris Olavi was coming?
Even if it's a one-on-one situation, so he's throwing that ball to be caught regardless. That ball landed on the outside of the white. I was like, you're going to yell at him, but then you throw a fucking pass. I was like, to me, whatever. He did get arrested. The way he handled the arrest situation, though, is the way I want my professional athletes to handle.
All right.
Yeah. Did you watch the video?
No.
Okay. So
Tell me.
He gets arrested. He's like, I understand what I did. He was like, he was going 35 or like almost double the speed limit. He did not appear intoxicated. None of the reports have come out with that. He was just, speeding.
Okay. All right.
And it wasn't like Henry Ruggs speeding or Jordan Addison over the summer speeding.
He wasn't being irresponsible in that sense.
Correct. It could happen to fucking anybody. Now, why he got arrested was because it was double the speed limit. And that's, I guess, reckless driving at that point. And so they do take you in.
Okay.
He did say that I play for the New Orleans Saints. I did not mind that. Because how many fucking times, Angelo, do you think they probably, all right, look the other way? All right. If I played,
he was low key bribing. What would have worked probably is, oh, are you a Saints fan? Here's a couple of tickets to this week's game.
The officer quickly after he said he's a New Orleans Saints said, I don't care, you're going. Like it was like simultaneous. So like, but he didn't.
No beignet for you.
He didn't fight it. He just kind of went with the flow. So
okay.
Fuck, he has been underperforming, but it's the Saints as a whole unit, and it starts with the coaching staff, Dennis Allen, Pete Carmichael. All Saints players currently are kind of liabilities to be starting. I have Michael Thomas, and he's been pretty consistent. They put up the numbers, but they just don't score touchdowns.
Yeah, Michael Thomas killed me because he had 14, I think, this week.
Yeah, so, but they don't score touchdowns, and that this is the issue as to why they're a liability to pick up in fantasy football, because I always have this thought process, and you can tell me if you feel this way about fantasy before we start going through the rest of the list here. Do you like picking up the best player on a really bad team? Or do you like just picking up players that are on a really good team because you know they're going to score a lot and they're going to have opportunities?
See that, you know what? I'm really glad we're doing this on Dwayne because you just gave me an insight to your mind now on how it works, on how you're playing. So you just gave me a little advantage right there.
Okay.
The way I actually do it, and it's free advice for everybody, is I'm not trying to buy players. I think that everybody at Fantasy, especially when you're listening to Matthew Berry at the Happy Hour, which is a fun show. I love Cynthia Freeland for NFL Network Fantasy.
Okay.
I think that's great. I'm not trying to buy players. I'm trying to buy wins. Because when I saw it in the beginning of the league and I saw how everybody drafted, I was like, okay, the only thing that's going to matter is week-to-week wins. So I'm always on the waiver wire because it only matters. The matchups
that week matters.
Only because who cares? Because Cameron right now is doing great. If Cameron loses to John Orlando this week, and John's been making lights out moves right now at the waiver wire. He got Dante Foreman. He picked up Kareem Hunt. Can you imagine? He bid $20 on Kareem Hunt. Picked him up, and guess who's injured? Oh, Jerome Ford.
Right.
Guess who RB1 is now? Kareem Hunt.
Right.
Genius, right? So I say buy wins. Buy wins. Don't focus on the players.
Got it.
But,
Yeah, so I definitely, in this second half of the season, I've been lucky enough, right? I'm cruising.
Oh, you're 4-3, baby. You were on a 3-game win streak. 3-game win streak. You're the man. You drafted well. You made great defensive choices. Yeah. Fred Warner, Fred Warner
is the best defensive player in the league
man. So two people have outscored Fred Warner. It's Oluokun who plays for Adam, who scored 41 just last week on your Saints versus Jaguars.
Yep.
So sad. And then the other one is Bobby Wagner, who scored 42. Who, again, like this is what I mean about Brandon has him on the bench. Don't know why. Bobby Wagner's great. So, but no, man, Fred Warner, great pickup.
I appreciate that. I think we've talked a little bit about Chris Moorhan's team, absolutely stacked. If we could share the screen here, if we're looking at a roster that can possibly win the title right here, we got Tua, we got Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Taysom Hill, and I said this is a 14-player league. How the fuck did Chris end up with all these players?
He drafted them too. Just to be fair, he drafted them.
He drafted, and he's holding. This is a team that I'm worried about. So, Chris, although I give you crap for it every week, it annoys me when you send that text. But I'm like, this dude has a real shot of winning it.
Here's where I will argue and say this is why when I was doing my just individual ranking for myself on who I thought was the top 3, and I had Cameron in it, Danny in it, and then I had Josh actually.
Hit Josh's team, Josh Scully.
Yeah, Josh Scully.
The Crosby Show.
Because at a certain point, man, Chris is going to need to stop playing this game, which is weird to me, of let me hang on to as many running backs as I can for whatever reason. He's going to have to drop them. And then, Aaron Jones is hamstringy. Mm-hmm. Could falter, so maybe that's why he's hanging on to all the running backs, maybe. But Tua and Hill are going to do a bye week. Devontae Adams, which if I could just ask you, who's worse at coaching right now, the Raiders or the Saints?
Raiders.
All right? Yeah. And I'm a Raiders fan, and it's killing me that, believe me, Devontae Adams is scoring. Right now, Devontae Adams is so useless that I would not trade Josh Downs for Devontae Adams. If Chris tomorrow said, hey, man, I'll trade you straight up Josh Downs for Devontae Adams, I'd say no. Because I don't even know who's throwing to Devontae Adams. What are they going to do? Run an end around with Devontae Adams? Josh Downs is going boom, boom, boom. And people forget we're in a PPR league. Mm-hmm. Each reception counts. Yardage counts. I don't need him to get a touchdown. I just need him to get 10 receptions for 100 yards.
Right.
Boom.
Right. That's a very that was a clippable moment right there because a lot of people will probably be like, oh, they get attached to the name. Right?
Yeah, Devontae Adams. They get attached to it.
Possibility, right? But that NFL moves. Every year it's evolving. We were talking, though, about Josh Scully's team because he silently snuck into your top 3.
He's on my top 3.
If we get a little screen share here, he's got Kirk Cousins at quarterback. He's got Tony.
And so stop right there.
Kirk
Cousins, if you're a fantasy or if you're a NFL person, you're probably like, oh, Kirk Cousins is in a terrible team, the Vikings. Right? Okay. Kirk Cousins is balling out, man. He's scoring 30s and 40s as a quarterback.
They're always behind in games.
Oh,
that's what I'm talking about with a quarterback. I know it's not much about the player, but if you're playing from behind constantly, that's why Justin Fields theoretically should have been a phenomenal pickup because they're always behind. However, he's not as good as Kirk Cousins, and that just goes to show that that's a high caliber of quarterback. Yep. He also has the person that was arrested this week. It still says that Chris Olavi was projected at 16 points. Is he playing this week? I don't think so.
I don't know. But okay, let's say he wasn't though. This is how good his team is. He could play Rachaad White, who scored 15 last week. He could play Tyler Lockett, who maybe is a sell right now. If you're out there in fantasy league, everybody's saying it, sell Tyler Lockett. But let's say maybe not. He has Logan Thomas, man. And Logan Thomas balled out against the Phillies. And with Sam Howell getting rushed all the time, he's going to throw it to Logan Thomas. So worst case scenario, Chris Olavi doesn't play.
Right. And the rest of his team, absolutely. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. He's going to start getting more touches.
Oh, dude. Jahmyr Gibbs turned into the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
This last
overnight. Yeah, and he was just he's an asset that the Lions have not necessarily needed to use. I think he kind of falls into this category that I've brought up on other shows, Angelo, where you don't want to make a young running back have to carry the weight of a city on his shoulders. Bijan Robinson has to do that. And so when he doesn't perform, it's a little different than when Jahmyr Gibbs kind of is same age, backup role, Now go be a star while our starter's getting healthier. It's a less stressful role than what they've put on Bijan Robinson. But Bijan's been popping off. So I'm not saying it's a bad choice specifically for fantasy, but I'm just saying as an overall team, it's not the best move for the future of the Falcons. Now, Crosby show, amazing, snuck into your top 3 power rankings. Let's talk about you a little bit.
Okay.
Angelo.
All right.
You do name your players. So if I'm going to do an extreme zoom here, he writes these names. Okay. These aren't nicknames that come with the it's fun. I love that Sleeper allows us to do this. You've put Lamar Jackson as MVP.
Yes. Because what did he just show everyone? Finally, the Todd Monken offense does work. Thank you very much. Did you see that one time where Lamar is so good, he chose not to run? 10 seconds. He had 10 seconds.
Wow.
To throw the ball.
Yeah.
You think he's getting touched this year? No. And here's some trade rumors. Trade rumors, everyone. Derrick Henry, baby. I know everybody is saying that Derrick Henry, they're talking about Dallas. Dallas would have to give up a load, which their defense is so good, they're not giving up nothing. Baltimore, on the other hand, J.K. Dobbins is out. They're not going to go with a Gus Justice Hill all year.
Yep.
Dude, you're about to pay off with Derrick Henry, man.
I need him traded to a Super Bowl contender tomorrow. Like, that needs to happen. I've been saying, here's the only thing I just don't think, I don't think it happens because who else would Tennessee have? They would be really tanking at that point.
Yeah, well, do you know they traded Kevin Byard?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're tanking. They're starting Will Levis. Oh, they're tanking. Right now, if you have Tyjae Spears, DeAndre Hopkins, I would say hold on to him because DeAndre Hopkins is about to get traded to a good team. Mm-hmm. So I'm telling you, man, pay attention. Halloween, don't even worry about it. Don't worry about candy. Don't worry about costumes because it's all about August 31st, trade deadline. Trade deadline. That's the only thing that matters.
100%. And we can now just shift into what do you think the best move is that you made this year? You obviously have been very active in the waiver. Which player out of all your players that are nicknamed is your favorite?
All right. Well, it's kind of tough on best move because surprisingly, I forgot who it was. Let me check. Somebody dropped the Chiefs, and I said to myself, man, when Chris Jones comes back, that Chiefs team is going to be great. So Big Body Cisco, thank you very much. He drafted the Chiefs, decided to drop them, and then I picked them up, and I've been riding the Chiefs defense all year. So if you're going to ask me what might have been my best move, because, again, what makes our league so fun and our league so different at Gridiron Junkies, the GIF League.
Yes.
The GIF League. What makes the GIF League so fun, George, is the defense. If you're a real football fan, you want to see the action. You want to see the hitting. You want to see people getting lit up. You want to see pancakes. You want to see it all, right? So, your dad who had Dallas, I think week 2, for defense scored almost 80. That's insane. Mm-hmm. That's insane. 1 week, I was tracking it. He was 100% supposed to lose to Cisco. The week that Cisco lost to your dad, right? Mm-hmm. Saints scored 65 that week.
Yeah.
Defense matters. Defense matters. And individual defensive players, while you're sitting out there wondering whether or not you should pick up this wide receiver or this wide receiver, individual defensive players are scoring more in our league because of your scoring, George, because of the way you did it. Tackles, fumbles, interceptions.
Lots of bonuses that I'm giving out to these people, and it makes it more entertaining. You don't just look at the offense anymore, and this is something that you're highlighting. I've had a lot of people in the league say that points in time upset, right?
Yeah, because they're used to the garbage way of playing it instead of the fun way of playing it.
Correct. This is making you a well-rounded fantasy football player. So you definitely need to be doing this in your fantasy football leagues. If you don't, you need to add it next year immediately because like you've stated, Fred Warner does really good. Oh. You're going for defense linemen. You have Quentin Williams.
Yeah, so I just did that. So Can I be honest with everybody right now? I'm going to tell George this. This is the first time he's going to hear it. The only reason why I picked up Seattle is because I thought this guy was so crafty that I'm like, oh, what's the only ways he could beat me? I was actually looking at his roster saying to myself, what are the ways he could beat me? All right, quarterback. All right, let's see what everybody does. Thank goodness everybody picked up a good quarterback. And this guy comes out with Tyrod Taylor out of the blue. I didn't know about that. But I picked up Seattle thinking he's going to get Seattle. And Seattle's one of the best defenses this year. They're playing lights out, right? Last second, when I knew you didn't have a chance anymore, I dropped them. Only because no one in our league, for whatever reason, has seen that the highest individual points average player for defense is Quincy Williams, man.
Yeah.
Quincy Williams.
Big
So
Q.
I'm using him this week. I do want to take this time to shout out Max Crosby, who has been my rock this year. I'm so sorry that they're just, can they give you Daniel Hunter, please? If they give you Daniel Hunter, that's why I'm still keeping you. I can't start you this week. I'm so sorry. I've started you every week and you've been lights out, but against Detroit, I just feel bad for you. I think everybody should tune in to Max Crosby's, the show's called The Rush. Mm-hmm. The Rush with Max Crosby, because if you're playing in our league and if you're in a league that plays defensive players, individual defensive players, Max Crosby gives you a breakdown every single week on who he thinks the top 3 defensive players is. And so thank you, Max. Thank you.
No, he's helping out, dude. I didn't even know about that, but I'm going to start tuning in.
Yeah.
Let's start recapping now the bottom half of the league. And if we can just do a quick screen share of the bottom half of the league for us, okay?
Okay.
So,
this is going to be fun.
8 through 14. We've already talked, Brandon, but these teams down here, we didn't discuss much because you got to prove yourself. Okay?
Yes.
This is not a league in which you're going to come in last and you're going to get a fucking parade about how your team is done. Now, we talked bad about Brandon, but we also talked good about him because he's getting married. He's getting married. He's getting married. He's holding a lot of valuable resources.
And again, he did draft well. Brandon, you did draft well, but Richardson got hurt and Saquon got hurt, and this is where waiver wires matter. So
let's go over to Big Body Cisco.
Okay.
He's been very active he's out of all the lower teams.
Scariest 3 and 4 team.
Oh,
Scariest 3 and 4 team. I projected Cisco to be in the playoffs 100%. So all of you guys who aren't even trying to bid on the waiver wires, I'm telling you right now, if I'm wrong, Cisco will have one of the top 6 spots for the playoffs. He's that good, man.
He's going with the Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua combination at wide receiver.
Smart.
It is smart, but I mean, talk about just how rare is it that you can play a receiver from the same team and still get 20 points from each of them. They're going off. It's the only wide receiver combination. Maybe Waddle and Hill have something similar. But
Hill's getting hurt, though. I mean, Hill's is crashing right now. Hill is like a cell.
Correct.
At this point.
But
Puka Nacua.
What a stud.
Oh, Puka Nacua means no worries if you have him in your league for sure. But I'll say this. So Puka Nacua, me and Cisco, just to give you a waiver wire story, we bid on Puka Nacua when he first went on. Cisco beats me. It was like $6 to $5. So I'm like, crap. Then for whatever reason, Cisco decides to drop him. I think he won that next week, dropping him. We go back on the waiver wire. I'm like, oh, no, hell no. I'm getting Puka Nacua now. I put $10 in. Puts in 11.
Damn,
this
he's
guy
eBaying your ass.
He even told me. He said, "No, I knew, man. I knew. I knew." And that's why, guys, I'm bidding, 20s. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you're thinking.
Right.
I'm putting down $20.
This is so fucking entertaining. Like, I'm seeing Travis smile back there because he's jealous. He wishes he was part of the league.
Dude,
I feel a bit out of the loop.
Commissioner, I am totally down for 16 people next year.
Why not? Eventually, we will have 32. And we will have no names, bro. We're going to have people getting 3 points that we absolutely need on our team, right?
Yeah.
But the Wild Samoan, scariest 3 and 4 team. He has $71 still left available for the waiver wire.
Was on the waiver wire again this week, if you saw. He, let's see. Waiver wire, Big Body Cisco picked up the Lions against the Raiders. Oh my gosh, we're going to get killed. So good pickup. He also picked up, let's see, Big Body Cisco. What was his big move? That was nice. Oh, kicker. See, everybody devalues the kicker. And yet I'll tell you right now, again, the best players in our league do not devalue the kicker. He picked up Aubrey from Dallas, lights out. But you on your show, Gridiron Junkies, I listen to you and Cameron. You guys got your little Colin Cowherd, Joy Taylor thing going on.
I love that you said that.
Which is great.
100% it.
And I love the show. I think it's funny. And you guys talked about Hopkins, and you guys both talked about how you didn't know who Hopkins is. You know who knew who Hopkins was?
Probably
Josh. No. Josh. I did know, but I only bet like $3 because I was like thinking, nobody's gonna pick up Hopkins. I mean, heck. Gridiron Junkies didn't know who Hopkins was, right? Well, Josh knew. He bet $10. $10 for a kicker.
Wow. And now he's made out. He's made out big time on that.
Big time.
So Cisco does that. We'll move on to the number 9 team in the league right now. Also at 3-4, we have Adam's team, which we discussed. He sold out. Okay, you put him on the losing end to one of the biggest trades so far this year in our league. He's got Brock Purdy starting with Christian McCaffrey at running back.
I want to be fair to Adam because I think that Adam drafted well. All right, remember on our draft night, he had all the sheets?
Yes.
I was next to him. I was like, man, he's got lots of papers. He drafted well. I think that the thing that he didn't do is the thing that everybody avoids, which is everybody always says, hey, when you start your fantasy league, go wide receiver, then running back. But a lot of us, like your dad or me or John Orlando, we all went quarterback. And guess what you needed, man? Quarterback. So guess what Adam needed? Quarterback. And what does he still need? Quarterback. And that's really hurt him. And for him to give up, would you have given up a wide receiver and a running back for a quarterback rather than just wait it out at the waiver wire and possibly get Gardner Minshew at some point?
It's almost a rhetorical question. It's a no.
Yeah.
Like we kind of try to value ourselves or at least evaluate the value of a trade a little bit better than that. But Adam, I think like you said, it was the
he loves the
thing.
Niners, man.
It was a fandom thing. The Niners were going on a run. Unfortunately, the last 2 weeks, they've been hitting speed bumps.
And fantasy-wise, it's hurting him.
100%.
I mean, thank you. Look. Thank you, Austin, for not trading me Josh Jacobs when I was giving you Dalton Kincaid and Brian Robinson. Thank you, because you can keep Josh Jacobs. I love him as a player, hate him as a fantasy guy. Thank you, Chris, for not giving me Devontae Adams because I would not trade you any of my Rashee Rice. I wouldn't trade you Rashee Rice for Devontae Adams right now.
No. Yeah, Devontae Adams is have fun trying to sell that one.
Yeah.
So he's still a player that can make a run late. These 3-4 records with the 6 teams making the playoffs.
We got 5 at 3-4. We have 4 players at 4-3. You, me, there's 4 of us, right? And then there's 5 at 3-4. Week 8 is the most important week, everyone.
This is the week where you are either going to start tanking or you need to make the plays to go up. We come now to Gio's logic, a team that we have not talked about the entire show.
The coolest man in the Gio was so cool in the draft. Remember how cool he was? He was like, took the day off.
Yep.
Totally chill.
Yeah, relax.
Right? Totally chill. I don't want to say he was the scariest 3-4 team. I am playing him this week, and I'm frightened about that because check it out, guys. Like Jalen Hurts, baller.
Yes.
Right? He took a gamble on Jonathan Taylor. That is such a brave move, and it's now paying off.
Yeah.
He's smart enough to take Zach Moss, and who knew? Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor
was going crazy at the beginning of the year.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely crazy.
Thank you. Right? Zay Flowers. Gio will probably laugh when he sees this. I've been trying to trade him for Zay Flowers forever, and he just keeps saying no. So where is he hurt? Now he's at the Hollywood Brown. Brandon Ayuk is still wide receiver 1 for the 49ers. But, man, that Calvin Ridley one, what do you think about Calvin Ridley?
Calvin Ridley is a very it sucks that he had a down week.
2 down weeks.
2 down weeks after starting off really hot, though. He was leading into the season. I definitely picked Calvin Ridley to lead the league in receiving yards.
Okay.
I thought the combination was going to be that good. I was a slave to the moment when I saw him running routes and he was making everybody look stupid. And I was like, I like that. I think he's going to do really well. And I think when I'm looking at Gio's team, one of the players that I wish I had, TJ Watt.
Ooh.
TJ Watt is like getting interceptions, fumble recoveries left and right.
Yeah.
Let's see how many he put up.
Now, points-wise, though, can I just say, he started out hot, 36 in the beginning, right? 26, 17.
Then
kind of boom and bust now, right? Which you have to give Gio credit for having Shaq Leonard, who's been way more just like standard.
Middle linebackers will produce on average more, but like we talked about earlier with Cameron drafting Cameron Bynum, picking up Cameron Bynum, a cornerback pays off huge.
Right.
Bigger than what a middle linebacker would get you regardless. But Gio's team, if he does listen to you, right? Gio, you have Angelo's ears about Zay Flowers. Make it happen.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't trade Zay Flowers if I had him. So Zay Flowers is going to boom this year. Odell Beckham is just not doing it, and Zay Flowers is the clear number one. Do you agree?
Agreed.
That's a gridiron. That's Gridiron Junkies approved. Everybody. George stamped it. So Zay Flowers. I was going to ask you if this is just a hypothetical. Jerry Jeudy has done well. Remember, crappy teams.
Yes.
You know, Russell Wilson looked good. They're throwing to Jerry Jeudy. We're in a PPR league where receptions and yards matter. Would you, if you were Gio and you had Calvin Ridley and someone offered you Jerry Jeudy and a sweetener? Jerry Jeudy and a sweetener, not just Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy and a sweetener, would you take it?
Yeah, it depends on how sweet the sweetener is, but if you like look at your team when you may need them most, yeah.
Okay.
Like when you may need to use that sweetener at the right time, like you can play it in your favor. But yeah, that's something that I'm willing to take. I also think Jerry Jeudy's kind of like on whenever you professional athletes get on other professional athletes about their lack of performance, suddenly they start performing well.
And he did last week.
Suddenly they're like, I can't let Steve Smith think that he can fucking get away with this. I'm kind of on a mission. And I think he also told it to Russell Wilson, and they made a point to kind of stick it to him a little bit. You know.
So a question for you, since you're such a football expert, Jerry Jeudy will get traded on October 31st. Do you think he'll go to the Niners? Do you think he'll go to the Vikings, which a lot of people are saying he might go? Who would it be?
Jerry Jeudy. Obviously the teams that you may end up on are contenders. There was a feeling that I had about possibly one of the NFC South teams, like the Falcons.
Ooh.
The Falcons, though, definitely need a lot more, I think they would need to get rid of a lot more than what Jerry Jeudy is worth. But I don't know if the deal makes sense. Everyone kind of puts the NFC South out of a lot of these trade conversations. But those are teams that are all fighting for a playoff spot and that desperately are looking for slight little advantages to get them there.
Isn't it kind of funny how the Gridiron Junkies Fantasy League is copying the real league right now?
Yeah.
That we're all fighting for a playoff spot in week 8. We're deciding right now, are we a buyer or a seller? Yes. Are we just trying not to be called the Brandon or whatever the last place?
The Brandon.
Or are we actually going to, get a chance?
So this week, John Orlando and Madison Clavon. Those are the two teams that we have yet to touch on. So John Orlando, we're going to fly through these because we're running a little low on time for today. So John Orlando he's got Dak Prescott.
Yep.
We had that whole Kareem Hunt situation earlier.
He got by Mageddon. Mageddon was last week where everybody was on a bye.
Yep.
And he won his match against Coach Carmona. So
Coach Carmona kind of being silently owned by you right now, but I don't know if
I wouldn't say that. I would say that I am giving advice.
Strong advice.
I'm giving advice. He still has to say yes or no.
Login informations have been shared from what I've heard.
All I'm saying is that Coach Carmona will probably be, because of the moves that he advisedly took,
yes,
will be the scariest 2-5 team on the back half because week 10's coming. He has James Conner. He has Devin Achane. Is it Achane? Okay.
Achane.
He's got two of the best running backs from week 10 on. Scary. And low-key, Coach has kind of learned, PPR league slot receivers matter more than deep receivers. Oh, catches and yards.
Shocker, right?
Shocker. Oh, and he just picked up Trey McBride.
So everybody needs to watch out for Team Brutus on the back half. If you really were taking Coach Carmona lightly now, just know he's got a little Angelo like pop behind him now. So that could make it very, very spicy going down the road. Now, there's one player, and this is the last player we will talk about, and that is Madison Clavon of the Orange Crush.
Ooh. He's a Denver fan, first of all, so, but here's what I'll say. When we were at the draft night, remember how happy Madison was? Mm-hmm. And even the statistic was where, like, he's going to be in first place?
Yes.
He barely beat Gio, I think, last week. Barely. And he's right now 3-4, but let's be honest, okay? Madison is playing, tell me. Oh, here it is. Oh, playing the Crosby show.
Tough game.
Let's be honest. Look at his roster right now and tell me that he can look me in the face and tell me he could beat Josh this week.
There ain't a shot in hell, Angelo.
Look,
not with the people that his players are playing against. He's playing against some really good teams.
Let's say Montgomery plays. Mm-hmm. Is he with sharing yards with Gamir? Again, this is what makes fantasy different. This is not about, is the guy a good player? It's how many points is he going to get? He now has to share the ball with Jahmyr Gibbs, so that's a no. Breece Hall against your New York Giants that you picked. Do you think Breece Hall is going to go balls out this week?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. T. Higgins, dude. T. Higgins is like a ghost.
He's been silent. I think I dropped him, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, well, he picked him up and kept him on the bench, and I've heard word that somebody even tried to trade Jerry Jeudy and Curtis Samuel for T. Higgins, and your boy Madison said no, so I don't know what to tell you, man.
Some people, I think now that we're starting to do this show, they might be a little more apt to trades because they want us to talk about them. I'm going to be honest. We're kind of controlling the narrative now.
Okay.
You guys want to make trades so we can talk about you, right? Like, you got to do that. You got to make them for us to talk about you. Or else we will flame how you didn't make them. And Madison, he's not the worst team in the league by any means, but
I don't think we have a worse team in the league.
No.
I don't think we have a worse team in the league because it comes down to performance every week.
100%.
All right. And 1% change. So I'll end mine with this. All right. Mm-hmm. In our league, it says on the percentage as the games are happening, what is the percentage of you winning? For example, just on the Monday night game, John Orlando, 30%. All of a sudden, dude, who knew Jordan Addison was going to go nuts, right? Totally won.
Flipped it.
Okay. Week 1, I'm going up against Madison. Mm-hmm. 1% chance. 1% chance. You know what happened that day? Monday Night Football, baby. You know who it was? New York Jets defense.
Oh, shit.
Defense won it, baby. So that's why
this league's awesome.
This league's awesome.
This league's awesome. Angelo, you're awesome, and I really do think we're going to, after doing this mid-season recap, and then the following weeks we can get a little more detailed on the players that you should be picking up in the waiver wire, the people that, you should be cutting from your teams, big trades that were made. This is something that I enjoy doing, and we're going to make a habit of it, all right?
Hey, thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
That was very fun. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. Travis, big shout out to you, bro. You're
thank
awesome.
you. I appreciate it.
Welcome back from Japan.
Yes,
the land of the rising sun. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, George. And Cameron's not here, so can you please tell her I said thank you?
I will 100% send her
best player in our league.
Regards.
Remember what I said? She should be the champ from last year.
And that's it from us here on Gridiron Junkies. Travis, hit that Podcast Junkies Network stinger, yeah.